Hello, I'm ShieldWall100 and welcome back to the Gotham Docks. Today we're having a Batman Miniatures game, 3rd edition game report, and this time we're going to be focusing in on a battle between the Batman Who Laughs. We're going to give him another go, and this time we're going to go against the normal crew. I say normal crew, it's Harvey Two-Face Dent, as normal as that gets really, and his really lovely looking crew of 1920s, 30s era gangsters. Yeah. Very different from the last set of opponents for the Batman Who Laughs in the Bat family. This is basically everyone's got guns in the Two-Face crew, which should pose some interesting problems for the Batman Who Laughs, and vice versa, as the Batman Who Laughs crew is very much a got to get in close to do damage kind of crew. But we'll see that as when I get to showing you who's in the crews. Please have a look at the description below for a link to the Top Hatted Hamster Wargames store on the web. It will give you a 10% discount as well. There's a link for that, a code, sorry, for that as well. And yeah, off your first and next purchase. Just thought I'd pop that in there. Let's see. Oh yes, there's one thing that just for this particular board, you'll notice there's not an awful lot of verticality in it. You might notice that now. You'll probably notice as we play. There's no buildings, not many ledges, etc., etc. Not much in the way of high scenery at all. Just some easily climbable boxes. It's because both of these crews don't really have much in the way of, you know, climbing chops really. They can certainly put their speed on and get some height anyway, but I thought it would just be easier for both of them rather than just having these big dead spaces of, you know, tops of buildings taking out lumps of the terrain, that I just do a nice relatively flat one, and it's certainly possible to have, and the game's versatile enough to cope with it, so why not? Okay, well, let's see who's in which crew. Okay, starting with the Batman Who Laughs team. As yet, as you can see, it's the Batman Who Laughs in there. There's not an awful lot of variation in this team just yet. For the time being, the Batman Who Laughs is the only model that can lead the team, and I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, to be perfectly honest. And he's a solid model, so why wouldn't you want to take him anyway? He's very thematic. He's the character that you've probably wanted, therefore that's why you're doing this team in the first place, to play. And yeah, there's not much I can talk about him that I haven't said before. He's got all the Batman stats as well as some of the Joker's crazy, interesting, quirky traits in there as well to make a very nasty cocktail of, yes, horrible viciousness. In terms of who else is joining him today, though, you can see you've got 4 of the Robins Who Laughs as well. I showed them off in the last game involving this team, and yeah, they're still going to be useful to charge in and do damage or move around and place suspect markers. They're quite spry and fast to do that, but yeah, like I said, also they're vicious in packs, so they might be looking to gang up as well to do so. One thing that might help them in today's game particularly, that didn't necessarily come up too much last time, is that they have the small trait, being small models themselves, which gives them +1 defense against shooting attacks, meaning that the enemy will be hitting them generally on 5s instead of 4s. Could be really, really useful, but just thinking I'm not going to rely on it too much because they're still fairly weak in terms of their endurance and willpower, so hits that do get through may well take them out quite quickly. So it's not like they're immune to shooting by any means. Just gives them that little bit more pause for thought for enemies thinking they'll be easy takedowns from range. And today's other model today, I'm actually going with the Commissioner this time instead of Damian Wayne. It's a straight swap out. They're the same points values, but they do very different things. Damian Wayne, like I said, is a more of a upped version of the Robins Who Laughs, but Commissioner Gordon, as in the Commissioner, the broken, twisted version of the Commissioner Gordon, he brings a lot of other things. He has Detective, which means he can mess around with suspects from up to 3 inches away, which is really useful. He has a pair of pistols and gunmen. He can also arrest models, so yeah, he'll be doing a little bit of ranged combat back perhaps, but like, yeah, also yeah, he's just generally kind of an annoyance model. Arrest could be useful if someone's sitting around unconscious. He can just take them out like that, and yeah, a little bit of flexibility. Also a really good model, and I've wanted to get him out on the table for a while. Okay, that concludes this team. Let's look at what Harvey Dent's bringing to the board. Well, here he is, the man himself, Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, leading his crew into battle again on my channel, hoping to get a win. I don't know if I've really had the best chance to show them off, I don't know. But I've had some successes with them. Sometimes it's very much down to the deck, and I'll speak about that in just a moment. But this guy's a good all-rounder. He sits in a nice sort of comfortable, he's dangerous at range, he's also fairly dangerous up close and personal. You can't take him for granted. That does tend to leave you to put him into situations perhaps where he's maybe not as safe as he could be, and that has ended up with him taking rather a lot of damage in other games. But we'll see how it works out for him today. I'm sure the more I use him, the more familiar I'll get, and I love this model. I really love this model. Right, so yeah, he's heading up the crew today. Sorry, his two sidekicks, Spice there and Sugar, or Sugar and Spice is perhaps a better way round for this to be said. They're his two sidekicks. They're both kind of similar in terms of what they do bring to the crew, and they work better up, when they're close by each other due to the teamwork rule. And yeah, they both pack pretty hefty little guns as well, each as well. So yeah, they're not to be underestimated, that's for sure. And they're quite reasonable and very thematic, I find. Today's gangster henchman types, we've got two guys over here, Wallace with his Winchester, and what's his chop's name? His name is Malone, with his shotgun, which is cool. Looking to get better use out of them today. Not sure I always get the best, because I tend to put Wallace here at the back, where he doesn't actually get to use his gun that much, because the nighttime rule does sort of hobble people who try to sit at the back and shoot. But yeah, I'm thinking today, I'm starting to use him a bit closer and personal, to be annoying and to be dangerous, because that gun is vicious. So hopefully get a bit of use out of them today. And of course the other two guys I always take are the two guys with the Tommy guns, because I just love the idea of Tommy guns in Gotham, and they're solid models as well. Good at both long and but best at medium range, but reasonable at short range and long range as well. And yeah, again, every model in this crew is freaking terrific. Even the ones I haven't showed you yet in my games, they're really, really awesome. And yeah, I just look forward to getting these out on the board every time, even if I haven't quite mastered their deck. Speaking of the deck, I'll just let you know that I've taken out one set of the cards. The Gamble has come out of the deck for Two-Face's crew, because I'm just finding it difficult to score in general. It looks like it sort of can't be very easy to score if you've got certain deployment zone card draws, like really easy to score. But in others, some of which I've featured on this channel so far, it's just not coming up, and it's costing me big time, I feel, in terms of points potential. So I've taken it out and added some in from the generic deck. Okay, so that's the Gamble out. If you want to look it up online, it's all on the Night Models website, but you'll see the card that's replaced it as we go through. Right, so let's move on to, just zoom out, let's get deploying and setting up, and I'll show you who's gone where. Well, we're just about ready to go. For deployment, I drew the showdown card for deployment. Well, to show who's going where. So nice standard 8-inch deployment zones, really, when you get down to it, to show you who goes where. For the Two-Face crew, got Two-Face in the middle. His two lady sidekicks pretty much on holding his right flank, just ready to. They're in easy teamwork range of each other, so quite a powerful tag team there. And his various henchmen, got Wallace there. The two guys with the Tommy gun, and shotgun dude in the middle. So they're all in easy inspire range of the main man himself. For the Batman Who Laughs, the titular leader there in the middle, inspiring these Robins Who Laughs here. This was the Robin Who Laughs who's got Darkness as a war gear card. That means that anyone within 4 inches of him gets cover automatically, so that's why he can afford to be a little bit cavalier in the middle there, perhaps. Also, looking at this, we've got another Robin Who Laughs here, and the Commissioner just walking out of the door of the cargo ship. Okay, just on the extreme left flank for the Batman Who Laughs on our right here, though. Okay, that shows us where everything's going for now. Let's get on with turn one. Okay, take the lead and raise the plan phase is both complete for turn number 1 now. Starting with who's played which cards. Both crews have actually played some cards, probably just to cycle their decks a little bit as much as to hopefully get any scoring out of them, but we'll see, I guess, as the turn goes on. On the Two-Face side, I can reveal they chose the good side of the coin first and foremost as their side to be scoring with. If you recall from previous games, they have to choose either the good or twisted side to determine which of their cards from their deck they can score at a time. Interestingly, it does actually apply. You can still, it turns out, having read through this and seen it a bit online, you can actually play cards which don't correspond to the relevant side. So I've got the good side out. I could play twisted side cards. I just can't score them. It says you can't complete those objectives, but you can still play them. And to that end, they played the Balance of Justice in the second phase. It will score at the end if the twisted side is up and an even number of models are removed from the game as casualties this round. It will score them 2 points. If the good side is still out, which it could well be, they won't get to the card will go back into the deck. It won't score, but that's it really as far as I can tell. And yeah, but it does allow them to move through their deck a bit quicker than they would otherwise. I thought they had to spend resources and things to get through the cards, but maybe not so much, and they decided to play that one because they didn't think that they were going to get much use out of the resource maybe this turn. On the Batman Who Laughs side, they played Corrupted. For 1 point, it's one of the Batman Who Laughs 6 signature cards, played in the first phase and scored at the end. At least 5 models suffer the enervating and or the poison effect, which is a massive ask at this range. Not so much of an ask if both crews were embroiled with each other, but yes, it's very unlikely to come out. But again, it does it gets the card out of the hand, it gets it out there as a scoring condition just in case. Just about all the Robins Who Laughs and cause enervating anyway, and poison does come about from this deck too, from this crew too, but nonetheless 5 models is a heck of an ask for 1 point. Not sure that one's actually going to come out, but it's like I said, it's cycling the deck and who knows. Okay, what else happened? Oh yes, the Batman Who Laughs won the initiative roll with a 6-3. Nice for them. So they'll be having, they have the initiative first this turn. In terms of who got Audacity, for the Two-Face crew, it's Two-Face himself. The Tommy gunner next to him is that, yes, Luigi, and the 2 sidekicks, Sugar and Spice, both got Audacity as well because they cannot be inspired. So yeah, makes sense to give it to them. On the Batman Who Laughs side, of course, the Batman Who Laughs who has it, as does one of the Robins Who Laughs next to him, and the 2 models over here out of Inspire range also have Audacity, so they can get more of a full turn. Okay, we're ready to start activating. So let's see who's going first. I mean, which models are going first. Okay, well, the Batman Who Laughs decided to pass. They have a pass marker because they've got 1 less model than the Two-Face crew, so they opted to use it to force the Two-Face crew to tease out their plans a little bit first. Tommy was elected to go. He doesn't have Audacity, but he was inspired by Two-Face, and he just moved out from his deployment zone, climbed to the top of this crate here, taking impaired movement to do so, and yeah, just put down a suspect marker. That's his turn done. That's all he can do now. Okay, having done that though, 2 faces of the coin was played as an objective. It will place now scores at the end 2 points if there's an even number of Two-Face suspects in play by the end of the turn. So there's another one ticking away for the end of the turn. Both different sides of the coin, but they can score either of them, so we'll see how it goes. Over to the Batman Who Laughs. You have to activate now. The Batman Who Laughs opted to go with one of the non-Audacity carrying models on his crew, one of the Robin Who Laughs, who was however in Inspire range. He moved forwards quite a quick 12 inches there and popped down a suspect marker, and as you can see, we've seen it plenty of times before, it doesn't look fresh. It's a stinky fish for 2 points. Score at the end of the turn as long as that suspect marker is still out. Anyone who does pick up a stinky fish though, whether it's this turn or at any point during the game, will become poisoned. So yeah, there you go, 2 points. It's going to be a tough one to stop for the Two-Face crew. They're not potentially the fastest of crews at all in their basic configuration, so yeah, probably a nice easy score there for the Batman Who Laughs, but let's carry on. Well, hush my mouth, I really should pay more attention to what I'm saying. Activated Malone next for Two-Face after having a quick look at the objective hand and realising there wasn't an awful lot to play right now. Malone activated, he was back here. He can actually take, as a gangster, he can actually take enervating points to gain extra points of movement, and that's what he did. It gave him a movement value of 14 inches this turn, enough to get into base contact with the Stinky Fish and use his manipulate action from being inspired by Two-Face's presence here to pick up the suspect marker. So yeah, the Stinky Fish is gone as it was played. He gets poisoned 1, but he does deny those 2 points. The Two-Face crew really doesn't want the Batman Who Laughs to take an early lead. It's very difficult playing catch up with this Two-Face crew, in my experience. You really want to keep on top of things. Right, let's carry on. It does leave Malone a little bit exposed perhaps next to a vicious little murderer brat thing, but they're tough, they're gangsters, and they're paid to do this, so let's go. Well, another Robin Who Laughs activated, and as you can see, another Stinky Fish was put down. This guy moved forwards out of his deployment zone so that he could actually get into a place where suspect markers could be put down, and then another It Doesn't Look Fresh comes out of the hand to score, hopefully. This one is actually much further away from the Two-Face crew. I know I said that before, but yeah, maybe this time this one will get away with it. Either way, he's moved forwards. He's so he's in a bit more of a threatening position to move in next turn as well, and yeah, 2 points if that fish is still on the board at the end of the turn. The lighter half of Harvey Dent's sidekicks activated. First, as Sugar went. She had audacity, if you remember. She moved up 10 inches to here, and she used her special action to distract the Robin Who Laughs. It lowers his defense by 1 for the remainder of the round. She then used her tactical action to pop down a suspect marker in base contact with her, and then she used one of the resource points from the crew to play her own card, Not So Much Sugar, which she's going to pick that up with all this text here. Basically, she removes a suspect marker and it gets her discard another card. It basically lets them cycle the deck a couple of cards. So there you go. That's just all helping the Two-Face deck hopefully get some cards that they can actually score or use at all. So yes, that's suspect marker. Yoink, come with me. And that's that, and that concludes Sugar's turn. The Batman Who Laughs team is having very much an easier time with their objective deck than the Two-Face crew, and it shows now, because this Robin Who Laughs activated from over here where his audacity marker was. He was inspired, but there's not much you can really do with it. He moved over here out of his deployment zone and popped down a suspect marker, which you can see, if you can read upside down, is a snitch from this card here. We've seen it plenty of times before from the Batman deck. 3 points if there's no Harvey Dent, Two-Face should I say, crew members within 4 inches of this at the end of the turn, and it's a massive ask to get there. Like I said, this Harvey Dent crew really not being the most manoeuvrable at the opening turns. Okay, let's carry on. Okay, opted to go with Luigi next, and he was all the way back here. He used a whole bunch of movement, and he innovated himself to the maximum 3 times to move up to the corner of this crate here, having climbed up it. Yes, it enabled him to get within, within the stealth vision range of this Robin Who Laughs. He's within 8 inches, and he used his one of the blood money tokens he had the Two-Face crew has. They've got 2 blood money tokens, allowed him to move and fire only losing 1 dice, and everything like that. Also allowed Two-Face to move forwards into base contact with this sewer marker here as well, having played that blood money. And yes, the firing was a bit disappointing. The Robin Who Laughs is small, so he went up to defense 5. The fact that this guy moved and shot with blood money meant he was hitting on 6s, but the distract brought it back down to 5s again. At the end of the day, only the strength die hit. It was just not enough to get that second crucial hit through onto this Robin. Okay, he was basically doing it on 5s, but only one of the dice came up. 2 blood and 1 stun is the result. That's the Tommy gun's damage per hit, and 1 hit was suffered. So there you go. This Robin Who Laughs is still going. Yeah, no cards played from the hand, unfortunately, for the Two-Face crew. They're struggling a little bit at this stage. Let's hope it picks up for them. And of course I did forget one thing. This guy had audacity, he could still use his special action, which he did. He has rapid reload as a trait, which he used on his Tommy gun, which means he will be available to shoot it next turn. Normally Tommy guns and most of the firearms in this crew actually can only shoot one turn on, one turn off, because I guess it's because they're old-fashioned compared to other weapons that other crews are using now. But yes, this particular henchman has rapid reload, so yeah, he'll be shooting next turn. The Batman Who Laughs activated next. He had audacity. He first of all used his tactical action to use his gun to shoot Harvey Dent. The strength die was lost because of the range, but Harvey was obligingly next to a lamppost and suffered the remaining two dice did actually hit for 1 point of blood and 1 point of stun each, so 2 blood and 2 stun on Two-Face there. Having done that, the Batman Who Laughs opted just to move over here, and that completed his activation. No cards played. Spice now. Okay, she activated first. She did also have audacity. She moved up from back here, popped down a suspect marker, then she used her special action to order Luigi here to put down a suspect marker of his own on top of the crates. So yeah, that's another 2 suspect markers out for the Two-Face crew. She couldn't have shot this Robin Who Laughs either way, whether she shot him from back here or she moved up and did it. She wouldn't have had any dice left by the time she'd actually got into range of the little sod. So he's safe for now, and that concludes her activation. Oh, sorry, apart from one other thing, Spice It a Little was played as a resource, which is Spice's own signature card. Basically, she chose that it's her and Sugar basically get +2 inches extra movement on their next phase turn. It basically also helps cycle the deck, hint hint. So that's what we're doing. Okay, going to carry on now. And the last Robin Who Laughs activated for the Batman Who Laughs team. This is the guy who was on top of the lorry's cab there. He just jumped down. He's the guy giving cover to everyone within 4 inches, so kind of useful to be just nearby his boss. He's a little bit too close to this Robin Who Laughs who put down the suspect marker, so he wasn't able to use, despite being inspired, he wasn't able to put down a suspect marker of his own if he'd wanted to. So that finishes off his turn. Wallace activated for Two-Face next with his Winchester. He was still in inspire range of the mob boss. He jumped down from on top of the crate here, moved over to the centre of the board and popped down a suspect mark, and as you can see there's a numerical counter on that one. It's because he played as an objective closing argument from the hand for 3 lovely points. It's a good side card, so it's currently scoring if they can get it off. Lots of text. Basically they rolled a dice and they got a 3, so there's a 3 marker next to this on this suspect marker and this one. This marker will count down by 1 at the end of each subsequent model's turn, activation shall I say, and if that reaches 0 then the card will score for the lovely 3 points. It has to be both of these markers have to be in play though, so the Batman Who Laughs has got a little bit of a chance to get rid of them. 3 activations to be precise. Right, that concludes Wallace's turn because he only had the 2 actions because he did not have audacity, so let's carry on. I went with the Commissioner next. Well, he was the last model who was able to go for the Batman Who Laughs, so it had to be him. Had some big highfalutin plans in my head when I deployed him about moving him down this sewer marker into the back line of the Two-Face crew and causing havoc with his sad life traits and all sorts of things, and didn't really happen because there's a Two-Face lurking here who has yet to activate, who was in easy gunishment range of that sewer marker, so figured it would probably be safer just to keep him around here, and yeah, probably is. He moved up onto the mainland from the cargo boat. He used his tactical action to put down this suspect marker using his detective skill to show off that it could be done 3 inches away, and then he used his special ability Goad on Sugar and successfully managed to it was an opposed willpower test and he was successful, and so he moved her 4 inches out more into the open and into the middle of the Batman Who Laughs' team, which is a dangerous place to be for a young lady. That concluded his action. There's no cards that he could play, so he didn't. Okay, last model is going to be Two-Face himself, I think. Harvey himself activated next. He moved around here using just his ordinary movement from back there, and then he used one of his rounds of ammunition to shoot the Robin Who Laughs, who'd been gunned at earlier in the turn. And yes, his expert marksmanship certainly paid off. He didn't take a point of blood money to make it give him extra dice or anything like that, just used the ones he had. And yes, 2 hits from 2 shots, including the strength die, splats this Robin Who Laughs away, and yes, picks him up. So the first blood to the Two-Face crew was always likely to be, given the number of guns they've got. But yeah, has it moved him out of position? I don't know. But yeah, didn't play any cards, didn't want to. He had, the ones he could have played would actually have messed up other opportunities for scoring, I'll tell you that. So I am still looking to see if they can score, trust me. And but yeah, wasn't going to happen this turn. Okay, that's every model activated, and we're going to move now to the recount phase and see how many of these many cards which were played actually come off for either crew. Okay, well, next, the recount phase completed. Let's have a look and see who scored what. Every model that could took off 1 point of stun, but that was only Two-Face, to be honest, taking off one of his 2 points of stun there. So carrying on, the Batman Who Laughs. Let's see. Starting with the cards he played at the beginning. Corrupted doesn't come off for him because there were nowhere near enough models poisoned and or enervated, so no. One of the fish which was played over here was picked up, so it doesn't look fresh, does not score. However, the one over here is still on the board, no one could quite reach it, so it doesn't look fresh, does score for 2 points for the Batman Who Laughs crew. Lovely job. And the snitch marker, which you can just see peeking around there, is still in play, so it has no enemy models within 4 inches of it, is more to the point, so 3 points, lovely, for the Batman Who Laughs. That makes 5 for the first turn. Not a great haul, but they're much more close range kind of crew, and right, moving on to the Two-Face crew. As we know, Balance of Justice won't score because they're still on the good side of the coin, and this is a twisted side. Even if they had met the criteria for scoring it, they wouldn't have got those lovely 2 points, never mind. However, Two Faces of the coin, this one does score. Sorry, that get into focus, because they have 4 suspects in play, and yeah, so there you go, 4, which is an even number, so 2 points for that. And coming out of the Two-Face hand is Stick to the Plan, a generic card put in to help them out instead of the Gamble, which doesn't tend to help them that much. 2 points. They've got more suspect markers than the Batman Who Laughs crew by 1. They have 4 in play to the Batman Who Laughs 3, so 2 more points there for the Two-Face crew, so 4 for them. Just thinking that closing argument, this one which was played is still ticking down with these 2 suspect markers, 1 activation to go, but that would have to wait till next turn before that can possibly score. Okay, I think that concludes the turn's festivities. It'll be time to move on to turn number 2, yes, next, and both crews are now much closer, so I'm going to expect things to pick up quite a lot in terms of bloodshed. Okay, into turn 2, and the first 2 phases are now complete. In the first phase, take the lead, that is, the Two-Face side played a resource from the hand for one of their 3 resource points. 2 faces of the coin came out, and the effect this card has depends upon which side of the coin they're using to score. So, as you can remember, they're still on the good side, so here you go. They place a coin marker, which is this one, in contact with one of their models. So that's one there next to the event marker in the middle, the black one with like the tick on it, next to sugar there. It's a coin marker for the purposes of this game, and on the good side, friendly models within 4 inches of it will roll 2 additional dice when defending. Okay, so that's pretty good. It lasts until the end of the turn, and if the side of the coin changes, as in like it goes from good side scoring to twisted side scoring, then the effects of this marker will change as well. But either way, that marker will last until the end of the turn. Okay, so that happens. So yes, in terms of who got the initiative, it was a 6-4 win for Two-Face this time, so he'll be activating first, pardon me there. In the second phase, the Two-Face crew also played as an objective card the Balance of Justice. It's a second phase scores at the end. It's a twisted side card, and even number models are removed from the game as casualties this round. They can't at this moment in time, as you recall, score it unless of course the twisted side comes up for them during the course of the turn. Okay, but if they do, it'll be 2 points. But yes, it gets the card out there and potential to be scored later on, and helps them cycle the deck as well. Okay, no cards played in either phase by the Batman Who Laughs crew, obviously not working out for them in terms of what they want to play now. Maybe they got some more to score later in the turn. But who got Audacity then? On the Batman Who Laughs, you can see that all 4 of their Audacity counters are over on this flank of the board. They're stacking it quite heavily. So Batman Who Laughs, the 2 Robins there, and the Commissioner. For Harvey Dent, you can see that he himself got 1. Sugar and Spice both have Audacity, and this guy over here, Tommy with the Tommy gun, has the last point of Audacity. Right, let's get in and start. Let's start activating models. Two-Face to go first. Well, Two-Face activated first, and Sugar was very exposed from last turn. Lucky for him that he got the initiative for several reasons this turn, actually. Yeah, so she activated first to help herself out. First things first, she did have Audacity, so she used her special action to distract this Robin Who Laughs. She then used her little Derringer gun to shoot him, and boy did she do so. She has 3 dice plus the strength die to make 4 together normally. His darkness war gear did take the strength die off, but nonetheless, as you can see, 2 points of blood per successful hit, and here is the roll that he got. So 5, 6 and 6 was enough for 3 hits, despite the fact that he was small and hit on 4s after all was said and done. Yeah, that was 3 points of damage. Easy enough to take him off the board, unfortunately, for the Batman Who Laughs side. As a resource, Heads or Heads was played. Another one that depends upon what side of the card you're scoring to see what it does. No, sorry. Yes, the good side is showing. So when a friendly model performs a ranged attack, place a friendly suspect in contact with the target. As you can see, there's one there. So there you go. Another suspect marker down for the Two-Face crew. And she then used her last activation, her last action, just to move back into teamwork range of Spice, and also protect me range of Luigi here in case she gets attacked. So pretty successful turn. Made all the more so because the closing argument die counter for these 2 suspects here has reached 0, so 3 points does score for the Two-Face crew because those 2 suspects were still in play. So yeah, pretty good. 3 points back on the board for the Two-Face crew there as well. So okay, what's the Batman Who Laughs going to make of this? Batman Who Laughs activated himself in response to that outrage he just suffered. He had Audacity. He first of all used his goad ability to lure Spice back out of cover again. It's an opposed willpower check, not by any means not guaranteed to work, but it certainly did this time and paid dividends. He moved her pretty much right on top of the coin marker that she put down before, but it was too far away to protect me from Luigi, who's back here. And yes, he then attacked. He moved up and attacked her in close combat. He is a Batman stat character. She was close enough to, even with the extra dice from the coin card, the 2 extra dice, she couldn't stop his attacks. She's blocking on 5s basically, so it was very difficult for her, and a lot of damage came through despite the fact that she efforted. He matched it, and yes, so she is sadly departed from this world today because she took 8 damage. She's only got 6 endurance. This enabled the Batman Who Laughs to play Apex Predator as an objective, which is unusual because it's only 1 point, so it's kind of a lucky bonus really, and it's more luck than judgment that he managed to get it. And any model with at least 3 suspects within 4 inches removed as a casualty, and between both crews, the fish counts, this one over here, they're all within 4 inches of her, so yeah, that does score for her. Oh, actually this one moved, sorry. There you go. Right, and right, so yeah, so she's unfortunately gone. That does enable him. She is a sidekick, you see, and when a sidekick is killed in 8 inches of a Batman Who Laughs, an enemy sidekick that is, a Damien Who Laughs can appear. A wild Damien appears, so we'll pop him just here behind these barrels, and yeah, then she's picked up. That's pretty badass. And yeah, so much needed reinforcements for the Batman Who Laughs, who just lost a model. Damien doesn't have Audacity, so there's a limit to what he'll be able to do this turn, but another extra model in turn 2 is pretty useful. Yes, in terms of other cards played, let's see. Oh yes, sorry, just to give the Batman Who Laughs even more damaged in capacity, I forgot to say. as one of his resources, Dirty Job was played. Generic card just to give him, focus him please, to give him one extra die to his melee attack. He has suffered a point of blood damage from that, just to say, I forgot to mention it. But yeah, it was just to make sure, because he really wanted to get this Damien back on the board. And finally, in the Batman Who Laughs activation, the Two-Face crew played the twisted side from their hand, so they're now scoring the twisted side instead of the good side. The good coin is now back in their deck, ready to be shuffled in and potentially drawn out at the rest of the turn. So there you go. That's it. So yes, on to the Two-Face crew, who are now using the more violent side of their deck to score cards, which is probably a good thing given the fact that they're at close range now. Well, carrying on with the leaders activating, Two-Face decided he was going to get in on the action next. He was over here, and whilst he was over here, the first thing he did with his audacity was to use his special action to use his Attorney's Allegation, which gives Wallace back here and Luigi up here an additional action when they activate. All his friendly henchmen basically gain an extra action, when they activate. And yeah, so that would be really, really useful. Turn 2 is generally a good time to get it. You've got more of your henchmen out, and Two-Face is usually still near enough that he's affecting a lot of them as well. He then moved into combat with the newly arrived Damien Who Laughs, and he popped. His bipolar came up trumps for him. He got an extra point of effort this turn instead of getting elevated for it. He put 2 more effort in. Damien put 3. When all was said and done, unfortunately, because the twisted side is up, if I just pick up Two-Face now, you'll see there's the action marker from before. That's the coin counter. Now the twisted side is showing. It actually reduced Damien's defense die by 2 instead of giving Harvey's crew 2 extra dice when they defend. So that's really gross, because that basically meant that Damien only had 2 defense dice instead of the normal 4, which really did come into its own. Especially when you combine that with the effort he put in, he was KO'd, unfortunately for him. Now, Two-Face's judgment trait means that if he KOs someone, he gets to flip a coin, and if it comes up bad heads, then they're dead instead of just being KO'd, and there's a result. That is definitively bad heads. So, having just arrived on the board, Damien Who Laughs is now removed from the board. Oh well, easy come, easy go, I suppose. I guess the Batman Who Laughs will just have to kill more henchmen or leaders to get Damien back on again. I don't think there's a limit on the number of times he can do it. Didn't read it that way, so yeah, I mean, heck, if he gets rid of Two-Face or Spice, then Damien Who Laughs will be coming back. But yeah, he's gone for now, and doing so enabled the Two-Face crew to play Kill Them twice from the hand. It will score at the end of the turn, but it will score basically. So when a friendly model causes an enemy model to become KO, yep, or removes as a result of a casualty, 2 friendly suspects are removed and then score this card. I'm going to score it now because it's scored. And yes, there was the one next to Spice just here, and the one just behind the Batman Who Laughs. They've both been picked up, and 2 lovely points for the Two-Face crew straight away. Yeah, whew, what a turn. Okay, the Robin Who Laughs activated next, and yes, he sprinted from up here into contact with Luigi here. As you can see, he's knocked out. What happened was he attacked him in close combat, put in all the maximum 3 effort he could. Luigi still was suffering from enervating 3 from before, so he couldn't put any effort in to defend himself, which really ultimately came back to bite him on the backside, because he took a whole raft of hits and couldn't deflect enough. He took 5, as a matter of fact, each causing 1 blood and 1 stun. Now, Luigi is hardened like all of Two-Face's gangsters, which means he can swap one of those damage types for another one, 1 point of damage, so to speak. So he was going unconscious anyway as soon as he took that much damage, so he took one of the blood damage and converted it into another point of stun. So yeah, he's still knocked out, but he's not as dead as he might have been. If he's got 2 points of endurance to go instead of just the 1. So harden does help in many ways. But yes, that does knock him out, and that enables Dirty Job to be played as an objective this time from the Batman Who Laughs hand for 1. It's a solitary point, making any model KO or casualty. They just did that, so there you go. It's a solitary 1 point, but it does when it ties into taking enemy models out, then there should be a ceiling on how much those things should score. It's because it's sort of fulfilling a dual purpose there. Right, okay, let's carry on back to the Two-Face crew. Spice activated next, and she had audacity. If you recall, she used her special action to order Two-Face to pop down a suspect marker just here. She can do it to any model in her gang, so she can order the boss, interestingly and daringly enough, as it were. She then used her movement, which was supplemented by the 2 inches she got last turn from the specific card that was played as a resource then, to move up here into base contact with this Robin Who Laughs and then knock him out with her whip. She did have reach on it, but she needed to be close to this suspect marker for reasons I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, she put 2 effort in, got 1 hit through, 1 point of blood, 1 point of stun, was enough to tip him over the edge. He doesn't have much stamina as a Robin Who Laughs, so he only had 1 point to go. Knocks him out, enables her then to play Kill Them Twice for 2 victory points. We saw it just now. Moves a model as a KO or casualty. She just KO'd that Robin. Removed 2 friendly suspects within 4 inches of her to score the card. She's just within 4 inches of that one, and she's next to that one, so those 2 will be both taken off, and that's another 2 points for Two-Face, which is pretty bloody good, really. There's a scoring moving to the twisted side seems to be paying off dividends. Batman Who Laughs activated this little bugger next, this Robin, who was in combat with Malone. He wasn't originally, I forgot to mention, I did all the sneaking moves, which basically means every model pretty much in the Batman Who Laughs gang team gets a 2-inch movement in the recount phase. I did do it, I just forgot to mention it, but he used his to move into base contact with Malone so as to be able to hit him now, even without audacity. So he used his 1 action to to engage in close combat, and put 3 points of effort in. Malone, if you recall, was innovated himself to the maximum to get that extra movement bonus last turn to move all the way across here to contest a snitch, and so he wasn't able to put any dice into counter that, so a whole raft of dice was rolled by the Robin Who Laughs. It wasn't a bad roll, but unfortunately for him, Malone passed 2 of the defense rolls, so only 3 hits got through altogether, each doing 1 point of blood, 1 point of stun for 3 and 3 apiece, and 1 point of innovating for the next time that Malone needs to use it. It wasn't a great roll, but it got through some damage. I mean, it wasn't super lucky. Malone is hardened, so he could opt to swap out one of these points of damage for another one, so he could have taken 2 blood and 4 stun, for example. But as it is, he's edging closer to either going unconscious or dead either way, and he doesn't want to do either, so he's stuck with 3 and 3. Maybe he'll use the hardened rule in the future instead, to prevent something bad happening then. But he's kind of... he's got lower willpower than endurance, so he doesn't want to go unconscious, so he doesn't want to put extra points into stun damage, but he doesn't want to die obviously either, so he's just leaving it at 3 and 3 points. Okay, no cards played, let's carry on. Malone activated for Two-Face and sufficed with no audacity just to pop down a suspect marker there. That concluded his activation, so then I moved over to the Commissioner, who had a rather more interesting time of it. He first of all activated his special action to use his gunman trait, which allows him to fire and then fire again, basically. He has plenty of ammunition to do so. He unloaded on Two-Face, who took a lot of damage. Actually, didn't take as much as he could have done. He was actually it's kind of worrying for a second there, but it was sufficient for 4 hits to get through across the 2 shooting attacks. Which caused him to go unconscious. Yes, he's taken a lot of damage, and he's also now he's KO'd. What was I saying earlier about Two-Face going in somewhere where he's at risk and then taking the damage for it? I don't learn, do I? No, but hey, there you go. There's Two-Face out for the count for a little while at least. Gordon then finished off his turn by moving into, a bit more of a central position. Okay, he unfortunately had actually originally had ideas of moving into base contact with Two-Face and then picking him up as a KO with the arrest ability, just like I would if it was a real Batman crew, but no, can't do that for 2 reasons. First of all, the gunman trait takes up Gordon's special action, and also Harvey Dent is immune to being arrested. He's got the runaway trait, so there you go. Double not allowed. But never mind, that's that. No cards scored from either of those 2 activations. We're just going to go now. I think that was the last Batman Who Laughs crew activation for the turn. Just going to finish off the the Two-Face turn. Okay, just finished off the last 2 henchmen for the Two-Face crew. First of all, I went with Tommy here. He had audacity, so he just jumped down and popped down a suspect marker, and that's it. Having done that, he played as a resource kill them twice for 1 point for the last resource point for the turn. Search your objective deck for a coin card, immediately play it, then shuffle the deck. So certainly did so. Got the good side is now out again for the Two-Face crew, which means that they'll be scoring cards for the good side now, which is kind of what he wanted, looking at the hand that's to go for the rest of the turn and the rest of the game at this point. Yes, having done that, well, activated Wallace, who moved up to here and popped down a suspect marker. He's within 4 inches of that Robin Who Laughs, so to make this better came out of the hand immediately for 2 points. It's a good side card. Place a friendly suspect within 4 inches of a friendly model and have at least one other friendly suspect within 4 inches of a different enemy model. Well, this other Robin Who Laughs has got suspects next to him as well, so that definitely scores for 2 more points for the Two-Face crew. Okay, that concludes the activations for turn number 2. Let's move to the recount phase. Right, well, recount phase just completed. First things first, Malone suffered a point of blood damage due to the fact that he was poisoned earlier in the game, so that sucks for him, but hey, he's still alive, he'll keep going for now. In terms of cards scored, the Balance of Justice was played by the Two-Face crew at the beginning of the turn, does not score. First of all, they're actually on the good side at the moment, so twisted cards can't score at all anyway, and also there was an odd number of models removed as casualties this round anyway, so double not scored, just the way Two-Face likes it. But however, they did score Stick to the Plan that came out of their hand at the end for 2 points. They still have more suspect markers in play. Their last 2 activations managed to tip the balance in their favour, having removed a whole bunch of them earlier in the turn. They just managed to get 4 out for the Batman Who Laughs, 3 that couldn't, outscore them. So, ooh, that's bad. No cards scored for the Batman Who Laughs either. He is suffering this game from some really bad draws, and it's not letting him score anything massive at the moment, but it's only halfway through the game, so plenty still to go. In terms of models being KO'd, more bad news for the Batman Who Laughs in that their Robin didn't get back up. Odds are against it though on Endurance 4. However, bit of a annoyance for them is that both Luigi and Two-Face both passed their endurance rolls and are now just knocked down instead of being KO'd altogether. So that's a bad one for the Batman Who Laughs. It's looking tough for them, but we're going to head into turn 3 now, and yeah, both crews are at point blank range now. So maybe that'll be where the Batman Who Laughs shines. Okay, first 2 phases of turn number 3 now complete. The Batman Who Laughs did win the initiative by dint of having so many passes left over from last turn, as yet unused, so they gave him enough bonuses to the die roll that he easily won the initiative this turn. Cards played, only the one, Corrupted from the Batman Who Laughs, another one of his signature cards. Plays now score at the end if at least 5 models suffer the enervating and or the poison effect. Massive ask, but does it's a card that you can just put down and then draw another one, and it's, he might score the 1 point, he might not. Meh, doesn't matter if he doesn't really, it's only 1 point. Yes, carrying on, we went to the second phase, Raise the Plan. Again, no cards played by either crew, but on terms of audacity, each of the Batman Who Laughs models have got audacity there, because there's only 3 of them left at this point. Ooh. However, for Two-Face, he went with Two-Face himself, albeit knocked down. Putting the audacity on him means that he can't just ignore him. So yeah, because he could stand up and still use his Tommy gun, etc, etc. So yeah, too much. Yeah, so putting the audacity on just makes him a target, even though he's likely to get taken out first thing. But Spice has got one. Wallace here has one, as does Tommy over there. So yes, right, we're going to be moving on now to see who gets some activations in this third and crucial turn. Yes, well, unsurprisingly, the Batman Who Laughs activated first, and he turned his scythe upside down and absolutely removed Harvey Dent from existence. I recorded 10 points of damage because this guy's knocked down. Can't defend yourself when you're knocked down, but it might have even been more points of damage than that because he gets bonuses against wounded models already, and yeah, all that nonsense. But yeah, Harvey Dent's dead. Having done so, that brought Damien Who Laughs back into the game again, put him in base contact there because of the Dark Influence rule. Yoink. So yeah, there you go, no cards to score, but yeah, takes off a powerful model, and then after that he moved to here, which sufficiently finishes off his activation for the turn. Okay, Wallace went next, and do I have a tale to recount for him? First of all, he had audacity, as we know, so he used his special action first of all to activate his precise aim trait on his Winchester rifle. He then took aim at Commissioner Gordon, the Commissioner, the evil Commissioner Gordon. He was going to open fire on the Batman Who Laughs, but the Batman Who Laughs cleverly moved around here. I forgot to mention that's why he did it, because he knows how dangerous this can be. I've lost another Batman in the past due to this gun, so I'm not going to hang around in the open next to it. Yes, but next best target was the Commissioner, who, despite his bulletproof vest, the precise aim made he had the raining dice all hitting on 2s. 2 hits got him, so that's 6 points of blood damage, and that is a dead Commissioner Gordon, unfortunately. As a card played from the hand as a resource, heads or heads came out. The good side is in effect, so it's the same as when we saw before. When a friendly model forms a ranged attack, place a friendly suspect in contact with the target. That's why you can see a suspect marker there. We'll pick Gordon up now. Boo! I like that model. But yes, also played in this turn as an objective. Not so much Sugar. Sugar is gone, but nonetheless her card remains. Lots of text. Basically, you place a suspect marker. You place an event marker, within 4 inches of an enemy model. We'll pop it there. You then roll a dice. It came up a 4. After 4 subsequent activations of models, will resolve whether or not this card will score, and I'll come to it then. But it involves how many models are nearby and for each side. The more models for Harvey's gang, the more likely it is to score. The more models for the Batman Who Laughs, the less likely it is to score. But we'll come to it then when the counter reaches 0. That basically finishes off this Wallace's turn. We're going to go back now to the Batman Who Laughs crew, see what they're going to get up to. Batman Who Laughs crew activated this Robin Who Laughs, the last one they've got on the board actually, that's not KO'd at least. He moved from up here to the Two-Face crew's deployment zone, popped down a suspect marker. He had audacity, so it's a snitch. Yay, we saw that before many times. Here's the proof it came up. At the end of the turn it will score for 3 points as long as they can keep enemy models away from it. It's unlikely, there are models that can redeploy, but it moves them away from this event marker, and the Batman Who Laughs really need to get scoring if they're going to really challenge for this game. Okay, let's move on into another model's activation. Spice took the next activation. She started her movement up here in base contact with the unconscious Robin Who Laughs. Used her cruel ability. She has audacity, don't forget, so she gets her full range of actions. The special action was used to remove the Robin Who Laughs with her cruel ability, as she puts the stilettoed heel in, shall we say, instead of the boot. She then moved into whipping range of the newly arrived Damien Who Laughs, and then attacked him. Did 2 hits after all was said and done. 2 points of damage of each type, basically. Gets through after all that, and yes, that concludes her turn. She didn't have anything else in the tank to do, so let's carry on. Damien Who Laughs, despite being able to activate, having newly arrived, he didn't have audacity, but he did have the inspiration from being near the Batman Who Laughs. So he moved from up here into base contact with Wallace to give him something to think about next turn, and also removed the suspect marker because that was next to, revealed the suspect marker of Two-Face's crew, which was there because he had his manipulate action there. So doing so allowed him to comb through everything, a much needed score from the Batman Who Laughs crew for 2 points, reveal enemy suspect. It then allows them to cycle their deck a bit. Much necessary there and very useful for them, trust me. Right, I think that concludes the Batman Who Laughs crew for the turn. We're going to move on and find out what happens with the Two-Face crew. A nice simple activation next for Malone. He simply didn't have audacity again because he's just not very audacious, I guess, today. He moved down here just to deny the snitch from being within 4 inches of it. Having done that, the marker over here ticked down to 0, so we won't go to see if Not So Much Sugar scores. This card we played before. Basically 2 dice are rolled, +1 for each model which the Harvey Dent has in nearby, -1 for each model the Batman Who Laughs has nearby. So there's one model for Harvey Dent, so it's 2 + 1. 3 dice were rolled, and they're looking for a double basically. No double was rolled, boo, which would normally mean that this does not score, boo. But as a resource, which I've done before, for the 1 resource point time bomb was played immediately after making a dice roll. Change the results of 1 die roll to match another die roll in the same roll. roll. But yes, so basically it meant that the 1, 2 and 6 became a 1, 6 and 6. So that does mean there's a double. So that does score for 3 lovely points for the Two-Faced crew. Cool. Sorry about that. It's convoluted, but we got there. Yes, that concludes Malone's turn. We've just got Tommy over here to go, and I'll just fill you in on what he does. Yeah, Tommy actually didn't have much return. He used 3 innovation to move a massive 14 inches over from here to here. He wanted to get in protect me range for the new boss of the crew, which is Spice. Didn't want her necessarily getting picked up in another. Didn't want the commissioner coming back to life. He then put down a suspect marker. It ties into some cards in the hand, and he didn't want to waste his shot from his Tommy gun having just moved. Even with the blood money token, it would have taken a lot to get anything useful out of his gunshots this turn. Okay, let's finish off there and go to the recount phase for turn 3. Okay, yeah, the recount phase is done. Can reveal that Malone didn't suffer from poison this turn. A point of stun damage came off each eligible model. That's it. There were no models to roll for recovery for. No one was KO'd, in other words. But for cards, another stick to the plan came out of the heart of the Two-Faced crew for another 2 points. They've still got more suspect markers in play than the Batman Who Laughs, so another 2 points for them. Conversely, none of the cards which the Batman Who Laughs team played through the turn managed to score. Unfortunately for them, neither the Snitch nor the Corrupted card. So yeah, those ones both fail as well, so that kind of sucks for them. Okay, we'll move to turn number 4. We're going to see who can score what in that last turn, see if any more spite damage can be done, and yeah, we'll see what comes up. Right, final turn. Let's see what's going on in terms of the first 2 phases. I can tell you the Batman Who Laughs played 2 cards from their deck. Finally, some actual cards they could play came up. They decided to play Die Hard, which is a generic card we've seen lots of before. 2 points. They have to choose one of their models into the turn. That model can't be dead or KO'd. They went with this little critter down here. It couldn't be the Batman Who Laughs because he's the boss, and Damien is a little bit in the middle of things to be completely safe. This guy seemed like the best bet since he's got stealth, etc, etc. So yeah, 2 points if he doesn't go. Let's Dance was also played though, which is a 2-pointer from the Joker deck. Played now, scores at the end if, well, it's basically if the Batman Who Laughs takes damage from a result of any action that the Two-Faced crew play does this turn, then yeah, they'll score 2 points for that. For the Two-Faced crew's part, Balance of Justice came out. We've seen this before. I think it was in the first turn of the game actually. 2 points. It's played in the second phase, scores at the end only if the twisted side of the coin is showing. They're currently on the good side, remember, so they won't be scoring it right now. If an even number of models are removed from the game as casualties this round, then they'll score that. But you know, it gets it out of the hand. It might come up. I don't know which side of the deck's going to be showing at the end of the game. Right, in terms of who's got Audacitar, I can mention that the Two-Faced crew, it's Luigi up here. Oh, I forgot to move Luigi last turn, so I just stood him up as his action. He didn't have Audacity and he was knocked down, so I just stood him up. It was a nice simple thing to do. Yeah, he's got Audacity. The other Tommy gun guy, Tommy, has Audacity. Spice has Audacity, and finally Malone gets Audacity. Hurrah for him. For the Batman Who Laughs crew, it's everyone who's left. Okay, right, let's finish this game off and see who can score what. Luigi activated first for the Harvey Dent crew. He decided first of all he'd use his tactical action. He had Audacity, don't forget, to shoot at the Batman Who Laughs. He was just standing on the corner here. There was no intervening terrain or anything, so it was a nice clear shot. Overall, the strength die and one of the other die hit, so yeah, 2 points of stun and 4 points of blood to the Batman Who Laughs. Not enough to take him down or out, but yeah, it's enough to prick his conscience. So yeah, that was pretty hardcore. Having done that, he was inspired by the Spice's proximity, so he had a spare manipulate action. He moved down here and popped a suspect marker down and played To Make This Better, a good side card, shall we say, scoring for 2 points. We've seen it just a little while ago. Place a friendly suspect within 4 inches of an enemy model, have at least one other suspect within 4 inches of a different enemy model. So this one's within 4 inches of the Batman Who Laughs, and this one over here is within 4 inches of the Damien Who Laughs, so that definitely does score for Two-Face's crew. Okay, right, that concludes their turn for now, and we'll move to the Batman Who Laughs. The Batman Who Laughs activated, and just to remind everyone that he is actually Batman, he moved into hitting range of Tommy there and just ripped him apart with his scythe. Even with the hardened rule, it wouldn't have been enough to save his life. I've put some damage markers out there, I think that's about right. The critical dice came up as well, so there's an extra 2 points of blood damage on top of everything he did. Don't forget, Tommy was enervated to the maximum, so he couldn't put any efforts in to help himself. The Batman have put 2 extra in just to make sure, and yes, he's gone, having killed a henchman worth a certain number of points. The Robin Who Laughs was manifested there as well in base contact with Spice, so some extra models coming through for the Batman Who Laughs crew even at this late stage of the game. Having done that, the Apex Predator card came out again as an objective for 1 point. It's only 1 point, but Tommy had 3 suspects within 4 inches easily enough for either side. So yeah, 1 point when he was removed as a casualty for the Batman Who Laughs there. So okay, that concludes that activation. Let's see how Two-Face's crew are going to respond. Wallace activated next for Two-Face. He didn't have Audacity, so he just moved down here. Bit of a random move, but there might be method in the madness for later. Okay, we'll move back to the Batman Who Laughs. The newly created Robin Who Laughs activated from over here, but he was inspired because he was next to the Batman Who Laughs, so he moved all the way down here, popped down a suspect marker with the inspiration based manipulate, and played It Doesn't Look Fresh. As you can see, it's another stinky fish. 2 points if that's still in play at the end of the turn. I guess we'll find out. Okay, carrying on the turn, Spice activated for Two-Face. She first of all used her special ability, she had Audacity, to order Wallace to pop down this suspect marker here. It's within 4 inches of the Damien Who Laughs, and that enabled To Make This Better to be played again from the hand for 2 points. Yeah, because there's another suspect marker within 4 inches of the Batman Who Laughs just round here, so that more than qualifies. So yes, 2 more points for the Two-Face crew. She then used her whip, because she's got giving her reach to attack the Batman Who Laughs. She put maximum effort in. The Batman Who Laughs is close to being unconscious, so he didn't put any in himself, besides he's feeling confident in his nice high defense value, etc. So, but it did mean he whiffed his defense dice, and 3 hits got through, unfortunately. So yeah, that actually knocked him out in the end. He's not dead, but he is KO'd. He's quite close to being killed, but not quite there yet. I think it's pretty academic now at this point of the game. It's more about scoring than anything else, and killing models doesn't do it in itself, especially not if the Two-Face crew has the good side showing on their coin. Okay, let's carry on. The Robin Who Laughs over in this side of the board activated next, and having been chased down by Malone, he decided to pounce back and tear the throat out of the gangster who's following him. Both sides put 2 effort in, mainly because that's the maximum they could put in themselves, and yes, the Robin Who Laughs overall did 2 hits, which is enough for 2 points of blood and stun it to get through, which is enough to actually kill Malone. Having the course of the game, all the damage he's accrued is enough to take him down, scoring the last dirty job, I think, for the Batman Who Laughs crew for 1 point there, making every KO or casualty. Nicely done. They get that 1 point. Yes. So yeah, so that does actually, fun enough, with the cannibalism rule, that does mean this Robin Who Laughs can actually remove 2 points of damage of any type from his card. So I guess that will go. Again, academic at this stage of the game, but useful to know for future. Okay, carrying on. And yes, coming as some surprise to me, there were no Two-Face models left to go. I just realised they'd run out. Just shows how much attention I'm paying. Well, no. But the Damien Who Laughs activated, he had Audacity, and there was a snitch in the hand, so why not? He jumped down here and popped down a snitch marker with this card for 3 points, a late game snitch. Everyone likes those, you know, those cards that you don't have a chance of stopping. Well then, that finishes that for the turn, and that finishes that for the game. I believe there's no other models left to go, so let's do the final count up. It was actually a very good last turn for the Batman Who Laughs. Oh, not the final count up, let's do the recount phase first and work out who scored what. Okay, recount phase should be relatively straightforward this time. Yes, so as just note, the snitch here definitely scores for the Batman Who Laughs. The stinky fish is still on the board, so 2 points for them there. Let's Dance definitely scores for the Batman Who Laughs for 2 points, because Batman Laughs was KO'd and all sorts of things happened to him that game. He got gunished a bit and then he got whipped. Nice. It's a good weekend. And then finally, this Robin is still on the board, so Die Hard scores as well for 2 points. So yeah, not a bad, very profitable turn for the Batman Who Laughs crew. Not so much for the Two-Face crew. The only card they had out was the Balance of Justice, where they needed an even number of models to be taken out of action. Didn't get a chance to flip the card, unfortunately, to the twisted side, so didn't get to score that one, unfortunately. Will the lead they probably took over the course of the game be enough to tide them through, though, to the end? Let's find out in the final count. Okay, got some sets of cards in hand. Who did I just pick up? Oh, this will be the Batman Who Laughs set. Let's see how many points they managed to score by the end of the game, shall we? So we got 2, 4, 6, 9, 12. Oopsie. There's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. Rather too many ones in there. 20 points though, could have been worse. They were really struggling at one point to get through it, and I'll go into that a little bit later perhaps. 20 points though, I've seen lower scores, definitely. Right, let's go to the Two-Face crew. Not a massive deck for scores for them either, so 2, 4, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 15, 18, 20, 22, 24. Just the 24 points for them. So yeah, I mean, I've lost games with 24 points in the past. So yeah. But nonetheless, a victory for Two-Face and his crew. It was kind of at the low end of average, I'd say, for both sides for that game. Let's start with I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disappointed in how it played out. I mean, it was quite thematic, had some good moments, and I've learnt a bit more about both sides, which is really important. Trust me. The Batman Who Laughs, I could blame a bad draw on the cards for some points. There were literally whole major parts of turns going past with me not having any cards to play, which was getting frustrating. Lots relying on the Two-Face crew picking up suspect markers, which is just not in their game plan. They're not based around picking up the enemy suspects, and I just didn't think about that before I set up and designed the decks. Maybe perhaps I need to have a more aggressive set of cards in there as well, because there's not many cards in my current Batman Who Laughs deck which revolve around doing damage to the enemy, and they are a very good damage dealing force, which gets benefits for it. You'd think this would be some sort of dream team of Batman and Joker deck cards to your heart's content, but you don't really get to use a lot of the quirky ones that much, because they really are focused towards their own crews. And but that said, it's I'll learn and I'll get better, I'm sure. I might also take out the 6 cards that the Batman Who Laughs brings to the table, because they each only score 1 point. They're difficult scores as well. This one thing, 6 cards which you have in just for resources is kind of marginal, because it takes up valuable real estate in your hand, which is only 4 cards big, remember. So maybe next time I'll try them without the 6 cards for the Batman Who Laughs. Maybe I'll do that. On the Two-Face crew side, I thought they didn't do too badly at all. It's still kind of weird and frustrating to have the good side and twisted side cards, coin out, which sort of means you're going to score half your cards a time. Every time you draw a card, you're thinking, will I get the card that I can play, or will I get one that's just going to be sitting in my hand for the rest of the turn? I don't know. And sometimes you feel like you're even on games where you're doing quite well, you feel like you're fighting against your deck rather than playing in, with it. You're winning in spite of it rather than actually scoring and looking forward to drawing the next one. But then I do suspect that the models in the Two-Face crew, the gangsters, etc., maybe even Two-Face himself, are a little bit underpointed compared to other teams' henchmen, and maybe that's to make up for the fact that they have to play with that objective deck, which I will, let's not forget, is very themed and very cool. If I had to say that the Two-Face crew suffers because of his obsession with the number 2 and flipping his coin, then I don't think I can really say I'm a Batman fan if I'm complaining about that, am I? And yeah, they won today, and won quite well as well. I mean, it was only a really stonking last turn for the Batman Who Laughs who made this the close score that it was. There's only 4 points difference in the end, but I think about half the points for the Batman Who Laughs came in that last turn. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this game. I really did. These crews look great. I really do like them a lot. Lots more fun to come from this channel, I hope, for you guys. If you want to, if you haven't subscribed, then you can, or not. I don't mind. It's I like it. It boosts my overinflated ego to much greater proportions. But you don't want to be doing that to strangers on the internet, really, do you? Yeah. Any comments? Please let me know, though. That's good. It's always useful to have anything that you might suggest or things you pick up on that I did wrong. That's useful. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your time, and I'll see you for the next one. I'm Shield Wall 100. Goodbye.